Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Jeremy Schumacher. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm the Jer in Wellness with Jer. Thanks for stopping by and checking out the channel. We're almost done with me listening to protest music. 4 more years, maybe I can listen to something else. Now we're gonna do some hip hop today. I will tell you, as a white person and mental health professional, I've not reviewed any hip hop yet. Not that I don't listen to hip hop, but I feel weird about talking about it on the internet because I'm aware it wasn't made for me. And there's like a whole little subculture on the internet of like reaction videos, which like is the new shitty reality TV. Sorry, people who like reaction videos. Uh, but since Kendrick did the Super Bowl, a bunch of white reactors have been like pretending that they never heard his music, which like I think is insulting, right? Like saying you never listened to like a classic hip hop song is just sort of outing yourself as not listening to a lot of genres of music. Um, but like, yeah, I don't know. The reaction video industry is kind of icky for a lot of reasons. I mean, not worse than regular capitalism, but like you're making money off of somebody else's labor. And yeah, hip hop was predominantly made for marginalized communities, particularly the Black community in America. And it's not like that's the only people who make hip hop, and it's certainly not like that's the only people who enjoy hip hop. White people are the largest consumers of hip hop in America. But yeah, some of it's not for me. Like there are lyrics in this song that I won't say out loud. I won't sing along with them, let alone say them out loud on the internet. So it does make it kind of weird to talk about. Um, but I listen to a lot of hip hop, especially when I'm doing like listening to music about protesting resistance. Like, yeah, I'll listen to gypsy punk and like anarchist stuff, but like hip hop's sort of the backbone, a lot of that. My hip hop consumption has changed a lot over the years. Shout out to my older brother who, introduced me by sneaking cassette tapes of Boys to Men when we were kids, um, which wasn't good, you know, um, but it was better than country or Christian, which is what we were allowed to listen to growing up. So, yeah. And the song we're going to do today is a group that I really like. Um, they have a new album coming out, which I'm very excited for. And it's what I used to think of Run the Jewels before Killer Mike got wealthy and kind of sold out, which is such a bummer because I love Run the Jewels that Killer Mike has been like, stop destroying property. I'm a real estate owner. And he did that really shitty Netflix documentary. Don't meet your heroes. I didn't meet him, just don't let your heroes become so wealthy that they can't be your heroes anymore. I don't know. We're going to do a song by Infinity Knives. This is from the collaboration of Infinity Knives and Brian Ennals. Their album, King Cobra from 2022, was phenomenal. I think a lot of people were introduced to it because another great YouTuber, FD Signifier, who talks a lot about Black pop culture on the internet. His videos are great. His channel is worth a follow and subscribe. I don't know why I'm promoting him. He's got like 1 million subscribers. So, but if you're unfamiliar, but yeah, this is a band I've been listening to for a while. King Cobra is still Coke Jaw is one of the songs that I listen to that's on a lot of my playlists because it samples Pink Floyd, which is my favorite band. The opening line is "Fuck the Clintons and the Kennedys," so that's where we're going with the politics. And again, I just think like it's good resistance music. I think it's good music about politics. I think it's good hip hop. When I'm listening to hip hop, not that it's for me, but just so y'all understand, I really enjoy wordplay. Both my parents were English teachers when I was growing up. Like clever wordplay is what I enjoy about it. And so that and like then sampling stuff. So Infinity Knives samples Pink Floyd, like I mentioned. They have a song where they're sampling System of a Down. So just like sampling some of the bands that I love and some like really great references. I was going to do Iron Wall, which is off their new album, which comes out soon in April. I believe it's out. I'm not, because I'm not ready to talk about all that. But like some great lines in there. Um, Genocide is American as apple pie. Baseball and school shootings is one of the lyrics in there. So like they're not holding back at all. And again, this song is on my protest playlist. So we're gonna do Death of a Constable from the King Cobra album. Came out in 2022 by Infinity Knives and Brian Ennals. That's enough of an intro. Let's get to it. Infinity Knives.
You niggas know what time it is. Worry about that dumb shit. Hang you from a fucking tree, nigga. They still hang you from a tree, nigga. Yeah, but we was chillin'. Started out in the park. Couple kids with some weed, we was ready to spark. We was supposed to get stoned and the shit went dark. Cops came in with their cuffs trying to break us apart. I smell bait, and I do eat swine. And every pig died, promise we be fine. They was made to catch runaway slaves. Stop users and put natives in caves.
All right, we're already stopping. That's true. Right? Like the modern policing was first originated in the South to catch runaway slaves. And for much of American history, the police were ridiculed from all sides. Like they were seen as just like sort of these laughable buffoons that no one really liked. Lots of old like political cartoons are like sort of the fat, out of shape cop with the billy club. And that really existed until like, I don't know, Chips, Dragnet, those like cop shows that started coming around in the 80s. Conveniently working as propaganda for the war on drugs. No, the Reagan administration and all that bullshit when like we just started locking up a lot of black and brown people. I don't think it was like Reagan being like, hey, we could use Hollywood, because I think Reagan was an idiot. I think Dragnet was in the 70s. So again, this predates Reagan. But it coincides with a lot of that like personal responsibility idea. It's called propaganda. Like it has its own name. People study it. People write about it. You're watching a video on YouTube. There's some great YouTubers who just do propaganda videos. And it's really interesting, like as a parent, to see how some of the propaganda plays out. Like for kids, like Paw Patrol has a police dog on it. I have very much enjoyed the new animated Spider-Verse videos, but like Miles Morales' dad is a cop. Gwen in that version, Ghost Spider, her dad is a cop. And so, you know, it's weird. It's weird to be like, these people are inept and really bad and part of a very broken system and part of the poverty to prison pipeline and the for-profit prison industrial complex. Like there's all these problems with it, and then like we're putting them right next to the superheroes. And like I grew up on 90s Batman, and like the cops are inept and corrupt, right? Like like Harvey Bullock is the worst and he's in all these episodes. Like I sort of grew up around like, yeah, there's the good cop, Jim Gordon, and then all the other cops are bad and corrupt. And so we sort of see like the creep of propaganda where like cops are by default good now. When I was growing up, like Law and Order was a big show. Part of my family growing up was like when you were old enough to stay up past like 8 p.m., you got to watch Law and Order, and that was a big deal. And I don't even think it was that Law and Order was good. I think it was just like, I mean, you got to stay up late, got to stay up till 9. Pretty cool. And like the idea of Law and Order is preposterous. Like that is not how law or order works. Policing is not so cut and dry, and certainly the legal system is not so cut and dry, and it's not very efficient. And we have all this data that says like, yeah, it's horrifically designed to be a negative for marginalized communities, for minorities. And so that's not what those shows get into. Those shows sort of show personal responsibility and that justice is done and relatively quickly. And that just simply is not true. There's so much data that says like that is not the case. But that doesn't make a good TV show. And then things like CSI and all those offshoots. Again, I don't think there's so much like a silent majority or like Reagan's moral majority, but there is a weird majority of America that like thought The Big Bang was a funny show and watches NCIS. You know, like I'm not part of that. I don't understand those things, but they exist and they're quite popular. So you won't see a review of The Big Bang Theory on this channel. But yeah, cops really were started out as people who caught runaway slaves and were ridiculed because they were super inept and power hungry buffoons. Not much has changed. Sadly. I'm backing up just a sec here.
I was going to work, minding my business, bitch, I'm going to work. See, I'm a janitor. Put my hands up, they still blinding me in the eye with a tear gas canister. Fuck the police, them crackers is a clan. Wanted to say that, so I made a jam. It is what it is. I could be the last nigga on earth, I'm not tiptoeing for no pig. Badges, give them license to harassers. Coons and Calabasas, most cops die in car crashes. Getting hit while pulling niggas over. Trying to fit a fucking quote. That's what you get. Brian Ennals in Infinity. Look close, and we can show you the enemy.
Okay. I'm interrupting here. It's not a long song. Go away. There I am. There's just a few things that are like make the song work that just aren't true though. And I'm not a reaction video person. I'm reviewing the content as a way to talk about some of these things. It's been a long time since car crashes have been the number one killer of cops. Traffic accidents are pretty up there on a yearly basis. So I wanted to correct that and say like there are cops who are killed on duty, not through car accidents. It's close though, like, and that doesn't mean it's all from traffic stops, right? Like a large number of those are because cops get into high-speed chases. That's really dangerous for everyone. And there's a ton of collateral damages. And the reason that so much money goes to policing in major metropolitan areas and states in general is to like pay for the shit that cops mess up. So that's a problem. But yeah, like cop data is interesting because when you have watchdog groups do it, they get a lot of different numbers than the cops. Almost like the cops aren't keeping realistic data. But cops being shot, whether by them in themselves or each other, or by perhaps criminals or people who are understood to be criminals by the state. I don't know. Shootings did edge out traffic killings in 2024. And it was like, you know, there were like 60 cops shot while on duty in 2024. And cops murdered or killed, shot to death, 1,400 people. It was like 1,359 or something like that was the data I saw. So again, 60 cops died over the year being shot, and then cops shot and someone died, not just like they discharged their firearm, but they killed someone almost 1,400 times. So cops are out here shooting a lot more people than cops are getting shot. A lot of cops die from accidents. Again, like sometimes they discharge their firearm and kill their partner or themselves. And I don't mean to laugh about that, but like it is sort of like the buffoonery of it all. In America, cops have the least amount of training in any civilized country, right? Like the idea that like an organized police force is like an 8-week training program and then you can go out and shoot someone and have like qualified immunity is actual madness, right? Like it's madness. We've been in the police state for a long time where I think a lot of liberals are saying like, oh no, fascism in America is like, that's just new to white people because black and brown people have been living in a police state for a lot longer where they could die for no good reason just because a cop pulled their gun on them, because cops don't get a lot of training and we protect them because cops exist to protect the ruling class, the wealthy people's property. Like And again, that goes back to slavery when we used to consider black people as property. So that's not great. It hasn't gotten better. But no, not a lot of cops die in the line of duty. That's a bit of a myth. Some of them who do are their own fault. Like large portion of them is their own fault. Like when COVID hit, like COVID was the number one killer of cops by like quite a wide margin, and it was just because like they're anti-science and a bunch of them didn't get vaccinated, like dumbasses. So yeah, like it's not the best and brightest. These are not people who are going through years of schooling and studying criminal justice and like understand how lab science works solving crimes. These are people who want to pull their gun on someone by and large. Um, so like that myth of a few bad apples is far more accurate to say like this tiny percentage. 1992 Batman the animated series is pretty accurate. Where like the entire department was corrupt except for Jim Gordon. That's probably the closer ratio is that like that mythical sort of there's only a few good cops, not a few bad apples. Most of them are bad. And the whole bad apple thing always falls apart. Again, this is just the dumbing down of our society, but like a few bad apples spoil the whole bunch. Like that's the rest of that phrase. You can't tolerate a few bad apples because they'll ruin your entire crop. So like admitting like, just a few bad apples, like right, have ruined the entire thing. Yes, that's what we're all saying. That's why people who want police reform or want to abolish policing and the incarceration system are saying like, yeah, the whole system is spoiled. There was something else in there that I wanted to say, but I don't remember. Oh, yeah. Cops pulling someone over or like tear gassing someone or using non-lethal means, which absolutely kill people every year. Um, for any like sort of justified reason, right? So where we look at like an abuse in why we say things like fascism about policing and authoritarianism is because that idea of authority is again a cop can pull their firearm on you because they think they smell weed or you crossed the street and you're a minority. Like these are not great reasons, and let alone reasons to sidestep the entire rest of the judicial process and just execute someone, which again happens in America at a shockingly high rate compared to any other country, because other countries' cops don't just pull their guns on people all the time. You don't get to pull your gun on somebody who doesn't listen to you, even if they are not committing a crime or a threat to anyone. And in America, it's like, you didn't get out of your car fast enough, let me pull my gun on you. And again, just the data does not back up that like cops are in danger all the time. They just simply are not. They're just they're not trained enough, and what they want to do is based on implicit biases, which is shoot minorities. So yeah, like Brian Ennals is the rapper here, and he's saying like, so I put it into a jam because what else was I supposed to do? I don't know if this is a real event or not, but it's real enough that something like this could have happened where, yep, just out in the park and a cop comes and escalates things. I work with a lot of people who are neurodivergent. And I work with a lot of minorities, but I also work with a lot of neurodivergent folks. Like something I say pretty regularly is like the last thing we want for somebody who is autistic or on the ASD spectrum, ADHD, overstimulated. The last thing we want is for a cop to come. We don't want someone in uniform with a weapon to come. Because again, if a cop's going to pull their weapon on somebody who doesn't listen to them, well, if that person has, PDA, persistent drive for autonomy, which is the thing that we see in a lot of people with autism spectrum, they are not going to comply. Doesn't matter if you pull their weapon on them. So like, yeah, it's really terrible system. Don't call it cops.com is a really great resource if you're in a metropolitan area. But yeah, it's shit, and it's baked into the system. Again, like police are not required to stop a crime, and police have qualified immunity for not having a good reason to bother you and then pull their weapon on you. It is authoritarianism. All right, let's back up. We're going to go back to a minute 7 here.
Brian Ennals in Infinity. Look close, and we can show you the enemy. My people left with Harriet, my bloodline pure. Rioted with Angie Davis on the Eastern Shore. What you gotta understand is we prisoners of war. There's a war going on outside, no man is safe from. PTSD giving me killer dreams. I'm saving up now for a new guillotine. Let's kill them all, no hesitation. I'm going negative, got a whole new vibration. I fully supported the riot at the Capitol. The rednecks had the right idea, just the wrong motivation.
They take all these taxes and they give it to these races. Only reason they exist to stop niggas from aging. Don't you know we lost our way to war? It keeps on raging. Heaven keeps on falling down and hell it keeps on raising.
Fuck 12, 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 fuck 12.
Only reason they exist to stop niggas from aging. Heaven keeps on falling down and hell it keeps on raising. All we want is reparation.
I do love Infinity Knives' hair. First of all, he's got great flow. Just the Crocs there on the album cover, really wonderful. In the music video for this, which is a little bit longer, there's some added stuff to it that I didn't have. He's also the music videos. They're digging a grave for a body. Death of a Constable is the name of the song. He's just wearing like pink Crocs in it. It's just struck me as humorous for sort of the absurdity of it. Yeah. The issues here are like deeper than a 2-minute song is gonna cover, but like policing's pretty fucked up. The incarceration's fucked up. I did a review of Prison Song by System of a Down if you want my thoughts on that and some data specific to that. Yeah, like there's quotas. Again, like some of this stuff is like police push back on it. You know, anytime a police department is investigated, like it's really bad. There was this like small town that got investigated recently. I'm drawing a blank. Hopefully somebody can drop down in the comments if they know what I'm talking about. There's a small town that was investigated and like the town came back and was like, we need to get rid of our police force. Every single one of them is committing crimes and they keep taking drugs from the police locker, from the like evidence closet and doing drugs while they're on the job. This is horrible. We cannot have our tax dollars going to this. So yeah, that's a problem. Just like a ton of implicit biases, like so many racism stats out there for how police of any color are policing against minorities. The percentage of people who are arrested, who are stopped by cops, who are stopped in traffic situations compared to the percentage of the population that particular race or ethnicity is in the population, like is really bad, right? Like if Black people are 15% of the population, but they're, you know, making up for over half of traffic stops, like that's a problem. We can pretty safely say that's probably an implicit bias in policing, which would be about racism. So like, and I'm throwing those numbers out there. There's a lot of data on these topics. I don't have the most up-to-date data because I don't work with cops anymore. I used to have a lot of first responders because similar to working with active military and even veterans to some degree, like there is that like brotherhood concept of policing, which is true of gangs, which is true of cults. Like that's not like a plus, but it is one of those things where like when you get a good referral from one, then you start seeing a bunch of them. So when I was a good little Christian and used to work at a good little Christian counseling place, and I'm being facetious when I say those things, I did see quite a number of first responders in general. They all had trauma that they weren't dealing with. And I'm not saying like, again, being a first responder is not traumatic. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't get help. I'm just saying like, again, I don't know that putting someone on leave for 2 weeks and then giving them their firearm is like them working through their trauma, I guess, is sort of where I stand on it. So yeah, it's very authoritarian. It is real bad. The power flows in one direction, and whenever we talk about like things like cops being better, is like, let's get out and know your neighborhood. Like, I had to call our neighborhood liaison 2 summers ago, maybe, because we had somebody who kept making false reports to the city about us because they didn't like our bird feeders. Like, I'm not opposed to having not a uniformed person with a weapon coming into things, but like, yeah, in a metropolitan area, there is a need for some resources to be available on things like neighborhood services, on things like um gosh, a end of list, and like, that person didn't need to be a police officer. They happened to be that. That's a role that's filled. I'm in Milwaukee, in the Milwaukee area. There's a community liaison for each district. And like, that's your non-emergency contact. And like, that's fine. They explained sort of like different laws on the books to me and recourse, and suggested I put up more bird feeders. So like, that was funny. But it's one of those things where like, that person doesn't need to be a police officer. A lot of things that cops are responding to would be better responded to by social workers, by trained mental health specialists who are responding to a thing. And people are always like, oh yeah, like a 6'5" criminal is going to stop for a little old lady social worker. It's like, yes, sometimes things go wrong. Police officers die in the line of duty. Police kill thousands of people each year. Like, things go wrong with our current system. Like, that isn't a good argument to say that having social workers or mental health professionals or people who specialize in housing crises or addiction specialists or people who just like can advocate for you in any way, shape, or form in our very broken system is gonna be better. Like, there's a lot of research from other countries that say like, we don't need to do it this way. It is a choice to have our policing be this problematic. And that's steeped heavily in the white supremacy that's baked into our systems. I was just gonna do a breakup song today. I thought about it. It's like, just do a breakup song, Let's not do the big heavy stuff. But it's all just kind of big and heavy right now, you know? I don't think I've worn my glasses with my new lighting setup. It's very reflective. Um, yeah. There's 2 songs off the new Infinity Knives album. If you just search for Infinity Knives, that's what's generally coming up. I don't know if Brian Ennals is not technically on every song, or for personal or professional or political reasons is not listed on some of these things. Could be any of those things. But if you search for Infinity Knives, you'll find the new album. Iron Wall is on it, which I recommend. I love the song Coke Jaw. The first verse would have given me a lot to talk about, and the second verse I had less to talk about. So I didn't do a review of that, and I've avoided doing a Pink Floyd song because they're my favorite band, and that would be a 7-hour video. This is a 2-minute and 20-second song, and I'm on minute 28 of recording. So I can get a little wordy, and if you give me a band that like I've hyper focused on for 20 years, it's gonna be a lot of content. Anyways, I might do a Run the Jewels. I'll probably do a Run the Jewels song, and then I can complain about Killer Mike some more. I used to love Run the Jewels. I still love Run the Jewels. I still listen to their music regularly. But Killer Mike has become a bit of a disappointment in sort of his turn towards conservatism, which happens when people gain a significant amount of wealth. It is interesting. It sort of happened after he lost his mom. Yeah, we'll get into that. But like, this is the band that I listen to now when I want like, man, RTJ 3, like Run the Jewels 3, Report to the Shareholders, Kill Your Masters, with Zach De La Roche from Rage Against the Machine, the lead singer from that. Like, that's what like I loved about Run the Jewels, was like, burn the fucking system down, like it's broken beyond repair, like that middle fingers to the law, put the pistol and the fist up in the air, we are there. Like, I love that version of Run the Jewels, not like get out and vote, Killer Mike. And not that there's, yes, vote, please go vote, Wisconsinites, April 1st, go vote. But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, like this is about like the system is broken, not like do your best to work within the system. The system is already violent. And so when you're like, we can't be violent, stop burning CNN headquarters, like, well, I don't know. Like the song says, like, rednecks had the right idea, just the wrong motivation. Like, yes, we need significant change. The system is violent. The violent is all flowing top down. Like, that's not going to lead to any sort of change. And so, yeah, maybe we'll do Run the Jewel song. Maybe we'll just get back to doing breakup songs. And I don't know. That seems like it would be good for my mental health at some point. If there's a song you'd like to hear me talk about, drop down in the comments. Let me know. What I'm personally listening to right now, I will tell you all, just the White Lotus theme song. Just watch season 1. It's just on repeat. It makes my little ADHD brain very happy to listen to. But I have a long list of songs to review, so I got options. But if there's anything you'd like to hear me talk about, drop down in the comments. Let me know. If you listen to the new album and want to hear anything off that, that'd be delightful. New Infinity Knives album coming out soon. It'll probably be great. The 2 songs that have been released are very good so far. So King Cobra is great. It's a couple years old, but like very good. Check that out if you haven't heard it before. Thanks for stopping by, checking out the channel, like, subscribe, do all those YouTube things. Y'all, it's hard out there. Take care of yourself. Take care of somebody else. Peace.